Have you ever really stopped to think about how words are put together? I mean, really think about it. It turns out there's this hidden architecture, a secret set of blueprints our brains use every single day to build and understand language. So today we're going to pull back the curtain and take a look at those blueprints.
Think about it. You see a word like unbreakable, maybe for the very first time, and you just get it. You instantly know it means something that can't be broken. You don't even have to think about it. So how does that happen? It almost feels like magic, but it's actually a system, a predictable one, that we've all learned without even realizing it.
And that system has a name, morphology. It's the part of linguistics that dives deep into the internal structure of words. It's basically the rulebook our brains follow to stick different parts together to create meaning, letting us build complex ideas out of simple pieces.
To really get a handle on this, we've got to start with the absolute basics. The best way to think about it is like building with Legos. You don't just have a finished castle, right? You start with all the individual bricks that you snap together. Well, in language, those little bricks are called morphemes.
A morpheme is the smallest possible piece of a language that still carries meaning. Some of these linguistic bricks, like catch or dog, can stand all on their own as complete words. We call those free morphemes, or roots. But then you have others, like the un in unbreakable, or the in teacher. Those are called bound morphemes. They have to be attached to a root to do their job of adding or changing meaning.
This is a perfect example of how it all works. Let's break down a big word like independently. The root, our main building block, is depend. To that, we can add the prefix in, which means not. Then comes the suffix ent, which flips the verb into an adjective. And finally, we add y to turn that adjective into an adverb. You see that? 4 distinct little pieces of meaning, all snap together perfectly.
Okay, so we've got our building blocks, but it's also really important to understand the difference between the core idea of a word and all the different forms that idea can take when we actually use it in a sentence. And this is where we get the difference between a lexeme and a word form. The lexeme is that abstract concept. It's the master blueprint, the thing you'd look up in a dictionary, like eat. The word forms are the actual words you use, the finished builds from that blueprint. They're often inflected, that is, tweaked a little for grammar. So he eats, I ate, or I have eaten are all different word forms of that one single lexeme, eat. This brings us to the 2 main jobs of morphology. Sometimes we're just making small adjustments to a word so it fits in a sentence, and other times we're building a brand new word from the ground up. So on one side you have inflection. That's when you modify a word for a grammatical reason, but you don't change its core meaning. When you add an S to dog to make dogs, you haven't created a new kind of thing. You're just talking about more than one. It's still the same lexeme. Word formation, though, that's a whole different story. That's when you create a completely new lexeme with a new meaning. Sticking dog and catcher together gives you dog catcher, a brand new concept with its own entry in the dictionary. And this whole process of creating new words isn't a free-for-all. It usually follows 2 main pathways. Let's take a quick look at those. First, you've got derivation. That's where you add affixes, those bound morphemes like prefixes and suffixes to an existing word to make a new one. This often changes its part of speech, like when the verb depend becomes the adjective dependent. Second, there's compounding, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You just combine 2 whole words, like dish and washer, to get dishwasher. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. Not every language uses these building blocks in the exact same way. Different languages have totally different architectural styles for how they build their words. Of course not. Just like architecture looks different all over the world, so do the styles for building words. This is what linguists call morphological typology, basically studying the different ways languages structure words. So here are the 3 main architectural styles. Isolating languages like Chinese usually work with single morphemes as individual words. Think of it as using single, unattached blocks, where word order is super important. Then you have agglutinative languages, like Turkish. They build these really long, complex words by stringing together lots of morphemes in a row, where each little piece has one clear job, like a long, predictable chain of Legos. And finally, you have fusional languages, like Russian. Here, a single affix can fuse multiple meanings together. So one little suffix might tell you the tense, who's doing the action, and the number all at once. It's incredibly dense with information. All right, we've deconstructed words. We've seen how different languages build them from the ground up. But why does any of this matter in our day-to-day lives? What's the takeaway here? Well, it matters because morphology is absolutely everywhere. It's what lets us create new words and understand them on the fly. It's the very foundation of how we learn language as kids and how we tackle new ones as adults. Plus, the tech we use every day, search engines, AI assistants, online translators, is all powered by these very same rules. It is a key ingredient in human creativity.
So the next time you hear a new word, or even make one up yourself, you'll know the secret architecture that makes it all possible. It's not magic, it's morphology. Which leaves just one question. What's the next word you'll build?